Why are so many creators willing to punch each other in the face? The creator boxing became a thing with tens of millions of invested, hundreds of millions of people watching, and even the professional athletes calling out creators for the future fight. By the end of this video, I will demonstrate to you that the boxing itself is actually a great idea, but there is a good and a very wrong way of executing on those events. Joe Weller and Theo take the credit for starting the movement back in 2017 when they clashed their fists inside the boxing gym for the first ever recorded creator boxing match. The event format and the scale quickly escalated when Joe Weller enlisted KSI of sidemen to participate in the future fight in the proper sporting arena. I discussed KSI and his impact on the creator economy in this video over here, but KSI did not only stop with impacting the creator economy, he actually changed the way the creator boxing was perceived by calling out two of his arch nemesis.
Obviously, man's got this belt right now. If any YouTuber wants it, you can come get it. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, I don't care.
The original fight and the closely watched rematch was followed by millions of people globally and even made it to the major sports news networks. The creator boxing has arrived. And you would ask, Tahir, why would they pick boxing instead of now a more popular MMA? In my opinion, there are three reasons. There is your experience as a viewer, there is a scale and experience that is required to enter the sport for the creators, and there is obviously the stakes that are at hand. From the viewer's perspective, first and foremost, boxing is much easier to follow than MMA, as well as it's less gory, so better for you and better for all the streaming services around the world. The barrier to entry for the creator is much lower as well, because when it comes to MMA, for you to be an entertaining to watch professional MMA fighter, you have to master multiple different disciplines, where boxing is a single discipline with a low enough barrier to entry to become decently good at it, and with a steep incline when it comes to really reaching that professional level. And finally, when it comes to the stakes, when you put two creators together in the same ring with the potential of your favorite creator being punched in the face in front of millions of people, wouldn't you want to see one of your favorites outside of their comfort zone, seeing how they can handle it, and ultimately being judged by a bunch of people who knew nothing about the professional sport of boxing?
They're like weapons, dude. It feels like I'm holding lethal firearms in my hand.
One right hand, and I'm putting Logan to sleep.
Those initial fights and the millions of dollars that the KSIs, the Paul brothers of the world made from all the boxing matches created this buzz and a division line between the fighters and the creators who wanted to make the money on this, and the rest who I'm going to talk about in a second. For those who really came into the world of boxing from the creator perspective just to make the quick buck, zero judgment on them, makes sense, you want to grab the bag when you can, but that created the kind of exaggerated, almost reality TV-like performance around the shows, as well as it demonstrated to us that a lot of those creators did not take the sporting side of it seriously and really just invested in creating that hype, making the most out of the buzz that surrounds the event. And there's a cautionary tale of the Platform Wars, an event that was supposed to be that next big thing in the creator boxing, but ended up being ridden with the controversies, fake beefs and bets on the side, and ultimately failed to deliver both on the spectacle and financially.
You got these guys saying, I'm gonna bet my 2 houses.
Literally 2 houses. I bet both of my houses that I'm gonna beat you.
All right, 20-year-old. All right, 20-year-old who's saying that they're gonna bet their 2 houses.
On that other side that I mentioned earlier, creators like iDubbbz, one of the OG YouTubers, and his wife Anissa, who wanted to put together a boxing event, but their focus is the 3 charitable organizations that they wanted to fund via the proceeds from those events. They put together a massive card with a lot of very interesting, unique creators you don't usually hear about if you're not specifically within their target audience. You see them prepare and do well when it comes to really taking the boxing side of it serious, and then learning that out of all the proceeds, 75% will go to those charities, and with 25% being distributed equally among all the fighters to support their training camps.
We got the most insane lineup of people you'd be like, oh no, you have no reason to fight. Why are you doing that? We have 2 main goals: raise as much money as humanly possible for charity, and number 2, we want this event to be as entertaining as humanly possible.
I like the idea of seeing my favorite creator taking it seriously, really doing it for the sake of the spectacle and putting their heart and their soul into the actual performance in the sport itself, but also in fully knowing that they're not doing it for the personal gain, they're actually doing it for something bigger and better than most of us. That drives a much better narrative around the boxing match, where set aside KSIs and the Paul brothers of the world, they have that natural charisma and they kind of like started this whole movement. They're in a different league of their own right now. all of the other creators who have attempted to do that and really did it in a rush to cash in, really just either made an embarrassment of themselves or really demonstrated to us that it takes a lot more to put together a well-run professional event. And the fact that they really did it for money did not really help with the attachment to that narrative, the attachment to the story behind the fight.
We're trying to get professional boxing coaches for all of our fighters. We're trying to give them ample time to prepare. We're trying to prepare them mentally and physically for, what they're going to do, because people die in boxing. It's not a goofy thing. Oh, let's try out boxing. It's a serious thing. It is a complete lifestyle change. Everyone who has gotten involved in our card can vouch for that. We're all getting punched in the head. I'm documenting the whole thing. There will eventually be a documentary about the boxing event. You guys will see how serious everyone's taking it. We're not messing around.
The money-driven creators, they had fun promoting the event. They did a decent job, maybe 1/10 of the skill of the professional athlete when it comes to really attracting the attention to the fight, but they approached it with a 100th of the experience and the attempt to really become good at the sport itself. And compare and contrast it to the Creator Clash, to the amount of time iDubbbz spent and invested in making sure really every single fighter on that card was prepared. Every single fighter understood what they're there for, the non-for-profit causes that they're supporting. You see all of that and you still see the two creators really doing their best to win in that ring, knowing that they're not doing it for money. I don't know, that just made it a special kind of an event, and why wouldn't you be a fan of this form?
By the way, the final numbers aren't in yet, but it's looking like we're going to be raising close to $1 million for charity. So if you guys are a fan of Alzheimer's research and heart disease research and the Healing Horse Foundation, make sure you give this video a thumbs up.
I cannot wait to see the documentary that iDubbbz is currently working on, that he recorded while preparing for the event. I'm curious to see the amount of time it took to prepare for everything, how hard it was for these creators who never fought before to master and prepare themselves to enter the ring. I'm also curious to see the reactions after the fights when the mass media cameras were off and they were by their own with their team and hopefully a small filming documentary crew discussing the fight. The documentary will also teach us what would it take to put together a similar kind of well-run creator boxing event. I think the future of the creator boxing lies down the two paths. One of them being really non-for-profit events that are similar to Creator Clash, run specifically to put together a few well-known creators and let them compete. Do it professionally, take it seriously, but then do it for the support of the non-for-profit organizations out there. Or they can just fully Mr. Beast it, and then you put on like oversized gloves, you do some crazy stuff in the ring, maybe you do like 4-on-4, 3-on-3, however you want to go crazy about it. This would be that second path to go about. I'm actually very curious to see if Mr. Beast will do one of those. If he will, I called it. What I know is that it should not be that reality TV drama and those fake bets and events, special like fake controversies around the fight that mimic the professional fight. Let the professionals do their thing. We're the creator economy, we are creative. It's in the name of our industry. We should do better when it comes to how we put together those shows. When the events of this scale take place, the entire world notices. Not only the audiences of those creators, but the rest of the YouTube, and frequently the mass media that never spends any time on YouTube notices. And would you want our industry to be represented by the reality TV show, or would you want us to be represented by something highly entertaining and also highly valuable for the society overall? I know I made my choice.
Oh yeah, and I think it's also worth mentioning, with the success of this event, why not Creator Clash 2? Anyone?
Did you know creator boxing was a thing? Did you watch any of the fights? And what are other sports where would you like to see your two favorite creators compete against each other? Curling? Fencing? High jump? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. Explore other boundaries. Explore what it takes to make it a different kind of an event. What kind of things we can add to it from the creator economy that we learned. Infuse it into the professional sport and make it an interesting spectacle for everyone to watch. Clearly, with the popularity of WWE, at least in the United States, people love seeing fake-ish sports. Why not make something of that kind or completely different. And if you're curious to learn about how other industries leverage the creator economy, how creator economy influences maybe the sports, maybe the industries, maybe specific artists who are trying to transition over to the creator economy, there are plenty of those stories on my channel because I'm here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video with some of your friends. Here are a few more videos for you to enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
I just don't want this moment to end.